A Life of St. Bertram. Prologue. The wind whipped across the swaying reeds of the marshlands. There was a chill in the air, a chill to make one shiver. But the boy did not move a muscle. He crouched in the undergrowth, unseen, silent, motionless. Up above, the geese called. They were answered by their brethren down below, and the boy smiled. He tensed his fingers on the bow, ready, waiting. The perfect moment was almost upon him. To the left a bit more. Yes, that's it. Hoy! The shout filled the air, and the goose launched itself into the air. Distracted by the noise, the boy had to regain his composure, realign his bow. But by the time he had, the bird was gone, and the arrow that he'd loosed plopped harmlessly into the mud. The boy cursed loudly. The goose had been his. He had all but had it. Who was it that had shouted? Why, he would find the peasant and beat him black and blue. He picked up his weapon and the 3 other geese that he'd shot and started on his way. Anger at the unknown destroyer of his ambitions filled his head as he negotiated the narrow path that led between the treacherous bogs with the arrogance of one who is used to success and cannot abide seeing it denied to him. But anger and arrogance are the sworn enemies of sense, and, not being careful, he slipped, dropped what he was carrying, and tried desperately to right himself. But it was too late. His left foot was already stuck in the oozing mud. He tried to gain purchase with the right, but that only slipped on the wet ground and sank into the mud itself. He reached out for something to hold, but there were only the reeds that bent and then broke as he grasped them. The mud was sucking him in, both legs now pulling him down. "Help!" he screamed, but only the geese replied. And he knew that they had no reason to aid him. He writhed and shouted, but only sank further. "Help! Help me!" he cried to the world, but to himself he was thinking, No, I can't die, not like this. I am due a noble death. On the battlefield. Not this, please God, no. Give me another chance. Save me. But all was silent, and the mud closed in up to his shoulders. He continued to shout, but he knew now that it was hopeless, too late. No one lived in this desolate place. This was his fate. He was to die here, alone, a fool's death. The mud reached his mouth, and he had to turn his head heavenwards to continue shouting. "Please God, help me! Forgive me, Lord!" he called, knowing that he would receive no answer. Then the mud covered him. His world went black, and he prepared himself to meet his Maker, with only his hand thrust above the slime. A hand that was grasped by another human. A human that pulled and pulled, extracting him slowly from the mud. But this is only a dream, the wanderings of a fanciful, doomed soul. The boy's world went black. He awoke in a room. There was the smell of food and a strange voice singing words that he did not understand. It was a beautiful voice, an angel's perhaps. And it was singing, but what it sang made no sense at all. Was this how they sang in heaven? He looked at the rough thatch above him and the rough walls by his side. No, this was not what he'd imagined heaven to be. A face came into view, a bearded face with kind, faraway eyes. "So, you've awoken," it said in curiously accented Saxon. "Where am I?" "You're in my home." "Am I dead?" "No, not yet, although you would have been if I hadn't got you out of that marsh in time. You lost consciousness and have been out quite a while. I brought you back here, washed the mud off you, and laid you in my bed with furs over you so that you'd warm up a little." "Thank you, sir. I shall make sure that my father rewards you for your good deeds." "Oh, don't worry about that. He already has, countless times over." "What? You know who I am? You know my father?" The man smiled. "Well, boy, to be honest, yes, I do. I don't have a clue who you are, but I do know your father very well. How can you know who my father is without knowing who I am?" The man laughed and walked away. "I've made some food. Would you like a little?" The boy sat up. "Yes, please." He looked at the man. He was poorly dressed and rather unkempt, and his home little more than a shack. He didn't look like the kind of person that his father would know. "Are you sure that it's my father you know?" "Very sure." "My father is the king." The man smiled. "King of where?" "Here, all around." "Then it is him that I know." "Does he wear fine robes and command a mighty army?" The man laughed out loud. "No, not at all. He dresses as I do and chooses not to live by the sword." "Then that is not my father." The man laughed out loud, holding his sides with mirth. "Oh boy," he said, "it is your father in heaven that I am talking about, not the one down here on earth. The only father that I seek rewards from is the one whose kingdom is not of this world." The boy frowned. "You're a strange fellow, and make no mistake about it. But I still wish to thank you for saving my life and for preparing me this food. Pray tell me, old man, what's your name?" "I am Chad," said the man. "And now you, boy, must tell me your name." "I," replied the boy, "am Bertram." Many, many more.